Welcome to Tranquilly Coding. This is our sixth video of the video series country code picker using Jetpack Compose. So in this video, we're going to create the country code picker dialog, the dialog layout for the whole country code picker. In our previous videos, we have created the header layout, the search UI, the single items. So we're going to put all of this together and make a dialog. And later on in the next video we're going to create a bottom sheet with it. So first let's create a file that will be country code dialog or country dialog. So this is our basic composable. Now let's add some parameters that we are going to need in the future. First will be on dismiss listener. Second on item clicked. So in here we will pass the item as a country because there will be country data. We'll pass the text style. The text style will be by default the text style. We will pass the modifier, country list possibly. Let's put the modifier at the first. Let's add item padding. It will be difference between each of the item. Let's add the background color. By default, we're going to use the material theme surface color. And let's add a divider color. Okay. Now let's add a dialog. So here on dismiss request we will use the on dismiss request. And dialog has some other parameters such as content, dialog properties. Let's add a surface as the parent of all of this, and the surface will have our modifier and the background color. Now let's add all the item one by one. So first we're going to use a column because they will be aligned vertically. Let's set the modifier, and the modifier will be fill max width. And the first item we are going to add is a header, the country header. So we'll be using country header dialog, this one. And the country header dialog has parameters, that is title and on dismiss. So our title is already set. We can set the on dismiss. We can also pass the title, select country. Secondly, we're going to add our search field. So the search is country search, and we have some parameters. So those are the search value, on value change, text value, text style, hint, and show clear icon. So first we need to get a variable that will remember its state. Background color of our country search is a little darker. Let's fix this. Okay, so we changed the background color. Now it is matching with this background color. Next, we're going to add a lazy column to add all this country over here. So let's add a lazy column. We're going to add the countries, but we need to add another method that will filter out the countries using the search field. So let's add that. So now if the value is null, or let's make it simple, if the value is empty, then we pass the whole country list. But if it is not empty, then we are going to use our method to filter out the countries. So in our country class there is a search method, so we will pass the query. So query is the value, and then we will pass the list of all the countries. So from there it will get the list of all the countries and filter out only the countries that we need. Now we can use this as the item of our lazy column. So here we use the items and we pass the filtered countries. We use the key as the it.country name, so it will be sorted using the country name. We can also use the country ISO as well, and there is a lambda for each of the country item. We can remove it or we can also leave it like this. So now the country UI, so we need to use the country UI composable. Country UI composable has some parameters. So first is the country. So country is country item. Second, we have our on country clicked, and we also pass the country item. Country textile is equal to textile. We need to put it inside a curly brace to make it work properly. So country style is the textile, and here we go. We have our entire list over here. So all of the countries, we can see them properly. Yes, yeah, it's working properly. Let's search for, okay, that's nice, but the size is changing. That is not nice. So this is working pretty good. So now let's fix the dialog size. So it don't become like a half screen or something like that. So in the modifier of this country dialog, let's add the modifier to show it full size. Now let's run it again and test how it works in this time. Okay, that's one I love. Now let's add some customization that will allow us to do some other things. So in our layout we have an indicator color below the text field of the search view. I don't like the indicator color, so let's remove it. Indicator focused indicator color, make it transparent. Unfocused indicator color, make it transparent as well. I believe this will solve the issue. Yes. So now I want to add some spacing between the items, a divider and little bit spacing over here. In the title that doesn't actually look that much nice. Let's add some margin and padding in some spaces. There won't be any margin padding. We will be using spacer. I'm still talking the XML language. Okay, we have some nice space here and here. We can adjust the space left inside the layout. Right now let's just leave it like this. Now in here we're going to add a divider. So we have nice divider between all the items. Okay, let's run it and check. Okay, so now we have our divider set. There is good enough margin over places. I want this corner to be rounded. Let's adjust the modifier when we are passing to the dialog. Let's add clip and rounded corner shape. Let's make it 10 dp. That's a nice clipping. Let's see. So it is not actually properly shorted. It is shorted by its country ISO, not the what is it called, country name. What is the problem in here? Okay, so in here the countries are shorted by the sorting that we provided in here, but it can be adjusted. We can just use sorted by country name, and that way it will be sorted according to the country names, not the ISO code. Okay, so now it is sorted properly according to the country's name. Now let's add the item padding to each of the individual items. This padding you can pass as a parameter here. Item padding is equal to padding. So our dialog is done so far, only for some few items that will be like shown in the later part, because right now this is so far the things that we need here. As for the dialog properties, I want to make sure there is two items. One is dismiss on back press and dismiss outside, so this two is automatically set to true, so we don't need the dialog properties. So let's recap what we have done so far. We passed the modifier on dismiss request, on item clicked, text style, list of country, item padding, background color and divider color. So we take the context from the local context, we use the search value and save it using remember in the mutable state, and we filter the country. If there is no filtration, there is no search value, then all of the countries will be sent there. The countries are passed as the parameter, and if there is any filtration, then we will use the search country method and that will filter out all of the countries, not only search through the name but also country ISO name and code. And then we have our dialog. We set the dismiss request from this method above. We have our column. We added some space between each of the item, our header of the dialog, spacer, search, again a spacer, and finally a lazy column. And inside the item we have our divider and the country UI. Country UI have some other parameters such as show country flag, country ISO, country code. So those are like the optional customization. But right now, as we don't set up the whole project yet, I'm not going to add those customization here as the parameter because it will be too much and become very long list of parameters. But that can be adjusted later using something like a data class or maybe something like that. So that headache is for later part. So this is for now. We have our dialog ready. This dialog is working properly. This one won't be dismissing because we are getting a preview of this composable. It has nothing else but just this dialog. So far our search is working. Everything else seems to be working properly. So this is for today. In the next video we are going to create the bottom sheet in the same way as we did in the dialog. So see you in the next video. Thank you for watching Tranquilly Coding.